Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something that honestly feels like a plot twist.
Hmm.
Straight out of pop music history, you
Yeah.
know? Um, the end of a feud? Like, we're talking a solid 2 decades here.
Wow.
Madonna and Sir Elton John.
Yeah. It really does feel like something shifted,
Yeah.
after all these years of
Mm-hmm.
disagreement, so much of it so public.
Right.
That reconciliation,
Mm-hmm.
came out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Madonna's Instagram this past Monday, April 7th, big news. A
Yeah.
lot of you were definitely buzzing about it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a headline grabber. I mean, this is one of those celebrity clashes that was just like part of the landscape. You just kind of assumed, like, okay, they're on opposite sides. That's how it is
Right.
forever.
Right.
But so our mission today in this deep dive is to really unpack this whole thing for you. What kept it going for so long? How did it even begin? And the biggest question, like, what on earth led to this truce?
Yeah. A truce after 20 years.
Yeah,
Makes you wonder.
exactly. So where do we even begin? Like, take us back to the very start of this whole thing.
Okay, so the beginning. Our sources point to, let's say, around 2002. That's where the seeds of this falling out were sown, publicly sown.
2002. Okay. So what was the spark? What happened?
Oh, it seems like it all started with, a critique. Elton John's take on Madonna's James Bond theme, Die Another Day. And he didn't really hold back,
Oh, I remember this. It was brutal.
It was. Reports called it the worst Bond tune ever. And then he went on to say it hasn't got a tune. I mean, just imagine how that feels. You pour your heart into a song, a big song, and that's the feedback.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And it was public, right? Like, everyone heard that.
Oh, absolutely. This was a very public dismissal coming
Yeah.
from, another major artist. That's got to sting.
It's got a sting. And of course, this wasn't just a one-time thing. This wasn't just a comment, in passing.
No, not at all. Things escalated. A couple of years later, 2004 Q Awards. That's when this disagreement really, I think for a lot of you, turned into a full-blown public feud.
Right, right. Yeah, I remember this. Vaguely. It was all over the news, wasn't it? What exactly happened?
So Madonna won Best Live Act,
Yeah.
and Elton John,
Mm-hmm.
not happy. He pretty much questioned the whole award. Famously asked Madonna, Best Live Act, F off. Since when has lip syncing been live? And then he really went there. Said anyone who lip syncs on stage when people paid to see them should be shot.
Whoa. Wow, I mean, that's some serious language.
Actually,
So public.
It was.
Yeah.
And look, this taps into a bigger debate, right? Live performance, what's authentic, all of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, to aim that criticism at Madonna so directly, so publicly, really added fuel to the fire. And it became personal. Not just about a song anymore. It's about her performance, her integrity as an artist.
Yeah. Makes you think about how public figures deal with criticism, How they handle these perceived slights.
Absolutely. So we've got this public feud simmering, and then we jump ahead a few years. 2012, Golden Globes.
Oh, yeah. Another key moment in all of this.
It is. Both of them were nominated, right? Best Original Song. Madonna for Masterpiece from that film, W.E., and Elton John for Hello, Hello from Romeo and Juliet.
So the potential for drama was already high.
Very high. Award shows, everyone watching, high emotions. And then, Madonna won.
Took home the award.
She did. And this is where it gets interesting because the backlash, this time, it didn't come from Elton John himself.
Oh, right. I'd almost forgotten about this. It was his husband, wasn't it?
It was. David Furnish went on Facebook, expressed his displeasure, said the win had nothing to do with merit. Again, very public, very pointed. It kept that feud going. And for a lot of you who follow this kind of thing, it must have felt like, okay, this is never going to end.
Totally. So what did Madonna do? Did she respond? I feel like she always handled things a bit differently.
Yeah, she did. Backstage after her win.
Hmm.
And, her response was interesting. Pretty diplomatic, actually. She acknowledged the past criticisms, but then she said publicly that she adored Elton John and that she was sure he'd win another award eventually. Didn't feel bad about winning herself.
So she was taking the high road, kind of, at least publicly.
It seems like it. A more measured approach.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, right, about the different ways people in the spotlight deal with all this.
It really does. And it's interesting. There's a pattern here, isn't there? Elton John or someone close to him makes this strong statement, very critical. And Madonna, she kind of steps back, offers a more reserved response. It's like they're playing these specific roles in this public drama.
You're right. It's a dynamic that played out for years. But now let's get to the turning point, the events that led to that Instagram post. And this was all very recent, just days before it popped up in your feed.
Okay, so we're talking about Saturday, April 5th. What happened? What changed everything?
So Madonna went to see Elton John's performance on Saturday Night Live. Think about that for a second. After all this time, all this back and forth, she goes to a show. That's a pretty big step.
Yeah, it is. Like, that's not an accident. That seems deliberate, almost like she was ready to, I don't know, clear the air.
Right. And then what happened backstage is what really matters. That's the game changer for them. And honestly, for all of you who've been following this story.
She went backstage. Wow, that's like a direct confrontation.
It was. In her Instagram post, she said she felt she had to confront him. And his immediate reaction upon seeing her, that seems to have been the key, like a lock just clicking open.
So what did he say? What was his reaction?
2 words. Forgive me. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
it took. And Madonna describes this like the wall between us just crumbled, and then they hugged. I mean, a sincere apology. Even after all those years, you can feel the impact it had on her.
You know, sometimes that is all it takes. That genuine apology changes everything. It sounds like she was ready for it, you know, ready to forgive.
Totally. And she talks about forgiveness in her post.
Meh.
But there's more to this than just an apology and a hug. There's more to this reconciliation, and it might mean some really cool things for the future.
Really? What else happened backstage? Did they talk about, like, working together or anything like that?
They did. Madonna said Elton John told her he had written a song for her and that he wants to collaborate. I mean, think about that. These two working together after all that animosity. It's a huge deal.
It's incredible. From feuding to collaborating, it's a total full circle moment, like she said. And that little reference in her caption to your song, so playful.
It was. And he responded to her post too, Elton John, right there in the comments. Thanked her for forgiving me and my big mouth.
Yeah.
But he also went on to praise her, called her work groundbreaking, specifically mentioned her work fighting HIV and AIDS, clearly admires her. And he said he regretted his past comments.
So there's genuine remorse there.
Yeah.
And respect, a lot of respect, despite their differences.
Oh, definitely. And then he goes on to talk about their reconciliation, how he hopes it's an example. In a world that feels so divided right now, this goes beyond celebrity gossip. It's a statement.
It really does. It's like they're not just burying the hatchet. They're saying, look, we can come together. And he talks about their shared experiences, both being embraced by communities that have faced threats, discrimination, their unity. It's a message of hope.
It is. And then Madonna shared something really personal in her post about how Elton John's music affected her whole journey as an artist. Adds a whole other layer to their relationship for those of you trying to really understand this whole thing.
I loved that part of her post. It was so honest. She talked about seeing him perform back in high school, how it changed the course of my life. Like, that's a huge statement. It really makes you think about how artists influence each other in ways they may not even realize.
Absolutely, it's powerful. She said she felt like an outsider growing up, and seeing him on stage, it was like permission, to be different, to stand out. And this really changes how we see their feud. It wasn't just two artists disagreeing about music. It was almost like this person she admired, someone who'd inspired her so deeply, disapproved of her work. It adds this emotional weight to the story.
Totally reframes it, doesn't it? It's personal, not just professional. And it makes the reconciliation even more powerful. So to sum up for everyone listening, we've got this feud that starts with criticism, escalates with public attacks, continues with awards show drama, and then suddenly it's over. Backstage apology, a hint of collaboration, and all this time underneath it all, there's respect, even admiration, and this deep early influence.
Exactly. From worst Bond tune ever to a potential duet. It shows how unpredictable these relationships can be, even under the spotlight. And the themes here, forgiveness, reconciliation. That's something we can all relate to, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then you layer in that personal story, how Elton John's music shaped Madonna's dreams. It makes the whole reconciliation feel even more meaningful, more hopeful.
It does. And it makes you think, after all that public animosity, they found a way back to each other.
Correct.
What does that say about the possibility of healing other divides?
Yeah.
Not just celebrity feuds, but in the world, in our own lives.
It's a good question to leave everyone with. It really makes you think about all those unseen connections and how understanding is possible, even when things seem impossible. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we unpack this story for you. We'll be back soon with another deep dive, so stay tuned.